Well, hello, y'all. This is Amber Geehan, your terrific Tuesday $1 Million Messenger, calling you from the greater Kansas City area. And I trust that many of you have been to seminar, and the last of you are there now, which seems so weird to me. But that's the waves we go in. But I'm excited to be home in about our year. And I just wanted to share just a couple of things. I had the privilege of teaching one of the Red's Team Leaders Future Director classes. And I shared this, and I've been talking about it repeatedly on my trainings, on my Zoom, because it is what makes the difference. And, you know, the Ann Shear's top sales director shared from the stage, which I thought is so perfect, is never take advice from anyone that you would not trade places with. Never take advice from anyone that you would not trade places with. And that is so vital in our organization if you choose to move up. And the other thing she shared was people will disappoint you, but your numbers never will. Your numbers never will. So people will disappoint you, but when you do the numbers, you won't be disappointed. And so I wanted you, if you are not driving and you're in a place, and you've probably done this with me before, but if you have never done this, or if you have, I ask you to participate in what I'm going to ask you to do as long as it's safe. So if you're driving, you're not allowed to do this. But I want you to hold out your hand in a cup position, like you're like holding water in it, I would say. And I want you to close your eyes if you can. And I want you to visualize a giant, most giant wedge of a lemon in your hand. I want you to pull it up to your nose and take a deep breath of it. And smell that citrus and the lemon and the amazing freshness of it. Now, I want you to open your mouth and take a giant bite of the lemon and chew it and chew it and chew it. Okay, you can open your eyes if they were closed. And I want you to admit if your mouth salivated. Now, while I tell you what to do, I very well know what I'm doing. My mouth salivates talking about it. And when I did it for the first time, even those little glands on the side twinged as if I had really taken a bite of a lemon. And in that Red to Future Director class I taught when I left, a woman approached me, and I'm so grateful she did. She said, Amber, I lost my ability to smell years ago. And when you had me smell that lemon, I really thought I smelled lemon. And I thought, isn't that amazing how powerful your mind was? Because where is the lemon? It's in your imagination. But everything was real to your mind. Everything was real, so much that your mouth salivated. So that is how important your thoughts are. That is how serious what you think about and what you expect is to your Mary Kay business. You know, when I make my 10 booking calls a day and I set my hands to those calls and I put my hand on them and I ask the Lord, you know, that please cause the people to respond that you want aligned with me, and cause those that you do not want to be aligned with me as a customer or as a new team member to not respond. I ask that it be so easy and obvious that it's you. I laugh out loud. I ask. And then I believe that I'm going to book a minimum of 1 in 3 calls I make that day, minimum. So on average, with 10 calls, I'll make 3 to 4, sometimes 5 bookings on the first contact. And I say that because I expect it. So is your expectation not high enough? Are you expecting the worst and getting it? I think it's time to change your expectations to decide that you're worth it and start expecting what you want. Start expecting it, because just as real as that lemon was to your mind, so are your expectations to your success in this business. That is how serious it is. I expect great results. I expect that people are going to want to book with me. I expect that they're going to want to give me their name and number. I expect that. Why wouldn't they want to do Mary Kay? I expect that. And, you know, one of the things I shared, and I think I've shared this on here before, that our mothers at our mother-daughter retreats have had this conversation before about us daughters of national sales directors, and that they said, you know, there's no difference between us and another consultant or sales director, but there is one difference. is that we do not question that it will work. We know it will work. We know Mary Kay will work when we work. We know when we do the numbers, it will work. We don't question that it possibly won't work or that it won't be worth it because we've seen it happen before our eyes. We've lived it through our parents, our mom's lives. And so we don't question it ever that the results and the effort that we're doing is going to be worth it. And I think if you could look at that right there, we expect it to work because it worked for our mom. And if you think about what you're overcoming today and what you're going through today and what you're pushing through today, maybe you're changing the expectations for the next generation. That maybe your daughter or granddaughter will follow in your footsteps because you did. And she will walk in the blessing of not questioning the process or that it will be worth it. So think about what your success will unlock in somebody else's life. That is how valuable it is. Well, I wanted to share the 3 Ds that Anne shared about to have a successful Mary Kay career. So this goes out to Miss Anne Shears, and this is something that I just thought was perfect. The first D is desire. What is your desire of your heart? The Bible says God gives you the desires of your heart, and I often will say, how selfish can we be to think that it's about us? How selfish can we be? Because really we're just a vessel to cause the reaction, to cause the ripple in this life. We are just the vessel, and we have to be the willing vessel. But God gives you the desires of your heart. So if you have a desire to be a top sales director, to be a sales director, to be a car driver, guess what? It's not just for you. That success is not just for you. So really look at what is the desire of your heart and go after it. Second D is decision. You need to make a decision. And, when I first joined Mary Kay, I heard that all the time is I just made the decision. I just decided that I was going to be a sales director. I made the decision. And I'm like, you know what? I was so mad about hearing that. I'm like, I've made the decision. I've made the decision. I want to be a sales director. I want to be a national sales director. I've made the decision. But what I coupled with decision today is that you can't just make a decision, because deciding you want something is great and wonderful. But until you pivot and change your course of action and get into action, that decision's not going to do anything. I can decide I'm going to go out and get the mail, but if I don't go out and get the mail, I'm not getting the mail. I can decide I'm going to go to the gym, but if I don't show up with my shoes laced up and ready to go, I never went to the gym. A decision backed by action is what will cause the difference towards your goal. The third D is discipline to work. It's not always rainbows and unicorns and petting a puppy sliding down a rainbow. It's not always that in Mary Kay. And I sure hope that we never paint the picture that that's what it always is, because some days it doesn't feel like a day that you want to work, but you decide to. And, maybe it's that you need to become financially obligated to something that, for me, my Mary Kay income has never been a choice. It has never been a choice. It's never been a play income. It's always been a requirement to make money. And I welcome that responsibility, but it's caused me to work when maybe I didn't feel like it. And the best example I can give you is, I remember my dad, he lost his mom when I was just 6 years old. And then my grandpa, who we were very close with, and he was very close with, he passed away when I was just in 7th grade, 13 years old. And I remember, doing the funeral, going to the funeral and, being with the family and, afterwards and all that stuff. And guess what he did on Monday morning? He got up and went to work. Do you think he wanted to? No, I don't think he wanted to. But you know what? He had an obligation and a responsibility to his family. He suited up and went to work. Ladies, sometimes we need to treat our Mary Kay business that way. We're not always going to feel like it, but feelings never come before action. You have to act your way into a feeling. And so understand that discipline to work, you have to do one thing for 66 days before it crosses from discipline to habit. So what could you do for 66 days that would drive major results in your business? I know what I've tracked in the past, and I'm willing to do again, that I've shared with you guys, is 66 days of 10 booking phone calls a day. They can be career share phone calls. They could be, booking like facial phone calls. They could be guests to events, 10 booking phone calls a day for 66 days. What would that do for your business? I happen to know that it takes me 15 minutes to make 10 phone calls followed by a text message. Do you have 15 minutes for 66 days to do something that the compounding effect will drastically change your career? Do you have that? And will you be disciplined enough to do it? So the fourth D is determination. You have got to be determined. You have got to decide that no matter what, you're going to finish. No matter what, you're going to go after it. It reminds me of the poem, The Race. The kid fell down so many times, but yet he got up and finished the race. Because it's not always who comes across first place, but it's finishing the race. And so every time you get knocked down, as I shared last week, I was so grateful that my mom got back up again, that she taught me how to fail and to get back up again. Because you see, fear is not the enemy of faith, but yet your comfort zone is. Because when you fear something, you might be like, Amber, I don't know if I could do that. When you fear something, it actually causes you to lean into God. But your comfort zone, you're not leaning anywhere but the sofa. And so consider this. If you have a little bit of anxiousness, excitement, that's a good thing. It causes you to depend on God and His favor, and that really realize that you have little to do with alignment. All you have to do is be obedient to make the phone calls. So, well, either way, this is Amber Geehan, your terrific Tuesday $1 Million Messenger, signing off. Have an amazing Tuesday.